Hello algebra students, this is Mr. Von Ah coming back to you with another video in our algebra series. We are starting a new unit, 7.1. I know in the syllabus I think it says 4.8, but I switched that just so you know we're starting a new unit. We're going to be learning about how to solve quadratic equations. Sound exciting? I knew you would agree with me. So just this video is basically just going to be dedicated to learning a little bit about quadratic equations and what their standard form looks like. That's all we're going to do in this video, which is very, very important because it's the first step in solving any quadratic equation. All right, so students will be able to identify the standard form of a quadratic equation. All right, so some terms here. First of all, a quadratic equation. What is a quadratic equation? Well, first of all, it's an equation. Right? And what's an equation? An equation is simply two expressions set equal to each other. Right? So it's a quadratic equation is a second degree. Remember what second degree means? That means the highest term has a 2 as its exponent. So for example, x squared minus 5x minus 2, that's a second degree polynomial equation, right? Or expression. So a quadratic equation is a second degree polynomial equation with one variable. All right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write down a few equations one at a time, and I want you to see if you can tell me which ones are quadratic. All right, here we go. Here's our first one. So we have x squared plus 2x equals 5. Okay, so I want you to pause this video and see if you can come up with an answer. Yes or no, is that a quadratic equation? All right, let's look at the definition. A quadratic equation is a second degree polynomial. Is this a second degree polynomial? Yes, it is, because of that 2 right there. Is it an equation? Yes, it's an equation because it has an equal sign. Does it have one variable? Well, it's got an x and an x there. Yes, it has just one variable. Even though that variable is in 2 different places, it still only has one variable. All right, let's try another one. Let's see if we went like this. X squared plus y squared equals 10. Okay, pause the video. See if you can think. Is that a quadratic equation, yes or no? Okay. Here we go. So let's see. Is it a second degree equation? Yes. Is it an equation? Yes. Does it have one variable? No, it has 2 variables, an x and a y. So this would not be a quadratic equation. This would be. It looks like we have room for one more. Let's try one more. Say if I went x squared plus 2x minus x to the third equals 14. Is that a quadratic equation? Go ahead and pause the video. Give me a yes or a no. All right, well, let's see. Is it a second degree equation? Well, it's got one variable and it's an equation, but look, it's a third degree equation. So this is not a quadratic equation. Does not qualify. All right, so now that you know what a quadratic equation is, it's a second degree polynomial equation with one variable. Let's take a look at standard form. Okay, standard form. It's very, very important that you understand what standard form is. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here. All right, so the standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is greater than 0. Okay? That's the standard form. Now let me make something clear. This here, this guy right here, this first one, we said it was a quadratic equation, correct? It is a quadratic equation, but is it in standard form? Well, that's not a 0, so it's not in standard form. So it's kind of like your bed. You know, you get out of bed and it's all messed up. A messed up bed is still a bed, right? It's just not in standard form. It's not in the right form. Okay? So let's take a look at some of these green examples here, all right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 5 different examples. I want you to know which of the following are in standard form, all right? So let's start with the first one, letter A. So I have 4x squared equals 7x plus 5. Okay, pause the video and answer the question yes or no if that's a quadratic equation in standard form. All right, let's take a look. Is it in standard form? Well, it's got the x squared out in front, correct? Just like here. But notice that it's not equal to 0. It's not equal to 0. Therefore, this is not in standard form. And by the way, I failed to mention that you'll notice that this is in descending order. All right? Descending order. What does that mean? That means it goes from a highest to lowest degree. Okay, so for example, this is a second degree term. This is a first degree term. So see how it goes 2, 1. And this, you might say, well, it doesn't have a degree. Well, actually it does. Check this out. I'm just going to, if I put an x to the 0 there, equals 0, all right? What is x to the 0? Well, anything to the 0 power is 1. 2 to the 1, or 2 to the 0 is 1. 3 to the 0 power is 1. 1500 to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so x to the 0 power is 1. And 1 times c is simply c. So therefore, we don't really need to put that there, right? But it's there. So I did that so you can see that this is in descending order. 2, 1, 0, blast off. All right, so we'll just erase that guy because we don't really need him. All right, so this is not in descending order, or this is not in standard form. It is in descending order. All right, letter B. I have 4x squared plus 7x equals 5. All right, pause the video and answer the question, is that in standard form? All right, well, let's take a look. It is a quadratic equation, okay? It is in descending order, but look, it's not equal to 0. Not in standard form. That is a messed up bed. All right? Okay, let's take a look at another one. Letter C. I have 4x squared plus 7x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. Tell me, is this in standard form? Well, let's take a look. It's in descending order, and it is set equal to 0. This is in standard form, and a is greater than 1. It's in standard form, so give yourself a pat on the back if you gave yourself a yes for that. All right, let's try letter D. Okay, letter D is negative 4x squared plus 7x minus 5 equals 0. Is that in standard form? Pause the video and think about it. All right. Well, let's take a look. It's in descending order, and it is set equal to 0, but look, a has to be greater than 0. A has to be greater than 0. That means it cannot be negative. And in this case, a is negative. So this is not in standard form. It's a no. Oh, man. So, boy, if you got that one correct, you really deserve to treat yourself because that's a tricky one. Okay, let's do one more. Letter E. Okay, I have 4x squared plus 7x equals 0. Is that in standard form? Again, pause the video and come back in a minute. All right, let's think about it. It is in descending order, 2, 1. It is set equal to 0. However, it's missing something, isn't it? There's no c at the end. All right? It's missing. Let me ask you a question. Is 0 a number? Yeah, it's a whole number, in fact. Couldn't I just put this right here? Plus 0 equals 0? Isn't that the same thing? 4x squared plus 7x plus 0 equals 0? Well, sure. If your c is missing, if there's no c there, it just means that c happens to be 0 and we just left it out, right? So this is in standard form. Yes. All right. So it can be a little tricky, but it's all you got to remember is this right here. Make sure it's in descending order. Make sure it's set equal to 0. And make sure that A is positive. Okay? Just remember those three things and you'll get these all the time. And remember, this is essential. You have to know how to put things in standard form. Otherwise, that's basically going to be step 1 in solving quadratic equations. All right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, Jonathan Von Ah, and you will be notified anytime I make new videos. Until then, may God richly bless you.